in child protective services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Yeah. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection, okay? And that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This is someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue. True. I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Georgette, and I am the co-host for Fight CPS. We'll talk with Ms. G, and I also work for attorney Vincent W. Davis. I want to address a caller today regarding a 388 petition. Now, her court-appointed attorney told her that she cannot file a 388 petition multiple times, that she can only file it one time. That is not true. This is a false statement from the public defender, okay? So when the judge usually tells you why the 388 was denied, therefore, when you refile again, you can correct it and implement what the judge was looking for in the other 388 that you would file. You can file it, you can continue filing a 388. Now, if a public defender tells you that, please note that they are not telling you the truth, okay? But we all know that CPS will lie, public defenders lie, district attorneys lie. We all know that lies exist in these agencies and entities and court judges, and there's so much corruption everywhere you go. Okay, so again, you can refile a 388. Do not let them discourage you, please. Andrew says it is possible to talk to someone in person about some of these issues. And if so, is there an email address I could reach out to you at? You can email me, Andrew, at GAT as in Tom at vincentwdavis.com. Grace, if you can put my email address for him, please, on the screen, so that way he can see it better. And also, Andrew, you can also call the 888 number that's on the screen, the 888-888-6582, and you can ask for Miss G or GT. Either one of the receptionists that will answer the phone will transfer the call to me. I want to always, as I always start reading to you guys about CPS and how CPS started with this corruption shit. In 1997 Act, Bill Clinton, that is 1997 Act, offered cash bonuses for the state for every child they adopt out in foster care. And in order to receive the adoption incentive bonuses, CPS treated kids like merchandise that sells. And they must bring plenty of innocent children so the buyers can choose. Workers work hard to keep the federal dollar flowing. Each bonus is multiplied by a percentage that the state has managed to exceed baseline adoption numbers and placement, actually. Therefore, state and local community, which is CPS, work hard to reach their goal to increase the numbers of adoption. This program is set by the very top and is ran by the Health and Human Resources. This is why victims of CPS don't get the help from their legislator. Basically, your tax dollars is what paying this gigantic system and keeps it floating. 6 out of 10 kids or more die in foster care. CPS became this protected empire built on just kidnapping children and the separation of family, which is actually illegal kidnapping. Poor parents are targeted to lose their kids because they do not have money to hire an attorney. CPS workers commit fraud and withhold evidence in court, and there's no checks and balances. Basically, judges run the show. Let them run the show. Basically, they literally don't do checks and balances on them. So therefore, CPS, whatever CPS says, goes. So that's why social workers do what they do, because the judges don't care. The separation of families and the snatching of children is growing as the CPS business grows, because the state and local community, the local government, are accustomed to having these taxpayer dollars balance their overgrowing budget. The ones who are benefiting from all this are the social workers, state employees, children therapists, court-appointed attorneys, also known as court pretenders, guardian ad litem, CPS investigators, judges, foster parents, adoptive foster parents, children therapists, children psychiatrists. All of them are looking for children in the state custody to provide job security. I mentioned yesterday on my show of this mother who, her story is so just similar to so many women out there. I mentioned this before to you guys, but she's suing CPS for $750 million. CPS settled with her for $150,000. That was the settlement that they offered her. She didn't give up. She filed a different lawsuit, and this time is for $750 million. There is no price actually on anyone that wants to sue CPS, because the trauma they place the mothers into, or the parent in general, and the children, and the chaos they create, the trauma they cause, it's endless. $750 million is nearly not enough for the suffering they caused this mother to go through. And mind you, not this mother is a doctor. I mentioned her yesterday. And the kids were placed with the abusive father. And that's what CPS, this is LA County, you guys, LA County case. And I told you guys before that LA County is a very corrupt county, Monterey Park especially. The social workers in that area are so corrupt, so much, how can I say it? They're screwed up in the head. They're demonic. They're malicious. They're sociopathic, narcissistic assholes in Monterey Park. And the social workers in the LA County, period, actually, all of them. Oh, hi, Amy. I miss you so much. Hi, baby girl. Okay, so Amy said, I can't believe I finally got someone to call me back from GAL, but I feel like they won't do anything. Nope. Yes, Amy, a doctor, baby girl. So let me tell you guys that didn't watch my show yesterday. Let me tell you about her. So this Beverly Hills doctor, her name is Susan Spill, has filed a new $750 million lawsuit against the County of Los Angeles and individual social workers as she continues the battle to regain custody of her children who were removed from her in 2013 without a warrant or court order. In the lawsuit, Spills claimed that the social workers for the Department of Children and Family Services, which is DCFS, the most corrupt in LA County, DCFS, all of them in the Vermont office, falsified evidence and perjured testimony to justify removing Spells for children from her care and placing them with their father, who has a documented history of domestic violence. In the new lawsuit, Spells' eldest son, Nicholas, now 18 years old, joins her as a co-plaintiff. The two asserts that the wrongful removal of the children from Spells' care amounts to violation of Civil Rights Act and their 14th Amendment rights. So, therefore, it is very important for you guys to know that, yes, they attack people in general, but it's not just poor people. She's a doctor, Beverly Hills. But you guys also remember about, the other cases I shared with you guys. They don't take, that's why a lot of people who judge mothers who lose their kids or parents in general who lose their kids or CPS got involved in their lives, they don't understand that they are good parents, but CPS make sure to create chaos in their lives. Why? Withholding evidence from courts. Illegally withholding evidence. Here's a perfect example. And then the father who took the children manipulates the children, brainwashes them, tells them that it's your mother's fault. That's why the reason they took you away from her is because mom talks bad about dad. That's far from the truth. But that's what the father put in the social worker's head. And oftentimes in the Monterey Park, actually, courts, they side with fathers oftentimes, even if the father has a domestic violence order against him. And she's not the only case that actually came up. We're talking about Monterey Park. We're talking about Lancaster. We're talking about San Diego. We're talking about Orange County. We're talking about, oh my God, what's the other place? San Bernardino County, all these places. You guys have to understand all the social workers work together and they create and chaos and they withhold evidence and actually sabotage information that is helpful for the courts. But the judges do not hold them accountable because they know the judges are not going to question them. They understand that. They understand the judges are not going to question them. And this is the way it goes with even New York, Minneapolis, Kentucky, Connecticut. I got a call from Connecticut today. It's a mother who actually has a case with the Department of Social Services because her kids were removed from the school because the teacher saw a mark. It's a brand new substitute teacher, basically. It's a substitute teacher. Took over. The other teacher is not there. So the other teacher knows that the child has a birthmark on the neck. I have a birthmark on the back of my neck. It's like a birthmark. And the child has a birthmark like on his side of the neck. So she called DCFS or CPS telling them that the child is bruised and she suspects abuse at home. Social services got involved. But then the mother kept saying, this is a birthmark. It's not a bruise. It's a birthmark since birth. But the only teacher that knew it was the teacher that was on vacation at the time that knows the child. Now, that's in the child school record. So guess what social workers did? They didn't give a shit that it was a birthmark. They took the child to their CPS doctor. They told the CPS doctor said it's a bruise. But medical record shows he was born with it. Even on his, oh my God. The child was born with it. In every picture of the child, you can see the birthmark on the side of his neck. But the mother said she wants to have a second opinion. She knows it's a bruise. It's not a bruise. It's a birthmark. They told her no second opinion. By law, they have the right to have a second opinion. And also by law, you have the right to retake your urine test that they say was dirty because you did not show up for your drug test. It's all bullshit. How can it be just a automatic positive if you don't show up or if you're late? And oftentimes they give the people the wrong address on purpose. Oftentimes they tell them to go at a certain time and they're closed, and then they blame it on the parent that they did not show up. But social workers do that on purpose to make sure you don't show up on time so they can mark on the report it's a positive result. So I want you guys to be very mindful, very aware of the shit that goes on day-to-day basis, especially with the CFS and LA County. There's so many social workers I would like to name, so many. But hopefully soon I will find all their names in all lawsuits, hopefully soon. And I pray that every one of you guys do not give up and don't ever think that you cannot sue the Department of Child Services, social workers. Yes, you can. Hello. I feel awkward calling you God, but that's your screen name. So you said you need assistance. Please call the 888 number and you can ask for Miss G. Or you can email me at gat@vincentwdavis.com. Here is my email address. You can always email me. And I'll be happy to help you. I'll be happy to help you, God. I really feel awkward calling you God right now, okay? So it feels really weird. God says Lancaster DCPS took my daughters, proceeded when I was not in court. Wow. Yeah, we need to talk. We need to talk, dear. So just don't forget to call me. Hi, Michael. You kind of joined us late today, dear.
Yeah, I started. I don't know. I kind of got like actually got a text message from my social worker today that kind of like stirred me up a little bit, because I've been kind of bummed, a little bit lately and stuff. But then it's just like that's where it'll take you if you let it, the cases and stuff like that. When you have I don't want to get too far into it, but like it just kind of lit a spark in me. So I was out messing around with my car and things like that, and just like thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, dude, like it's you can't give up, I've come this far and things like that, and then your child's on the line. But yeah, it's crazy how relentless, like these social workers can be and things like that. And yeah, just don't ever give up. Don't let yourself stay down for too long, because that's the desired result, usually from the department, their antics. But anyway, that's why I was late. Sorry. So,
that's okay, babe. That's all right. Yeah. So I want you guys to understand, like I said, you can sue a social worker, but you have to have evidence. You have to, and because of the lawsuits against them constantly, they try very hard to cover their tracks. So I recommend every one of you to go to Costco. If you have a membership with Costco, that's where I got mine. You get cameras for your home. I have surveillance cameras everywhere, inside my home and outside my home. I literally have cameras in my car, two sides, one in the front and one in the back, believe it or not, that will get all sides, and the front that will get everything. Okay. Always protect yourself. Always protect yourself, and always have a sign outside your door that says 24-hour surveillance camera. Okay.
That's a great tip. That's a really great tip, Miss G. And that's like, especially this day and age. And I think, yeah, a lot of these situations, could be eliminated with an extra eye, like a camera or another witness, with the that's actually a great suggestion. I think that's
very important, you guys, because if oftentimes people say, well, the social worker said to bring your cameras down or shut your cameras off rather, and I'm like, no, if you have a sign outside your door that says 24-hour surveillance and they enter your home, but they can't tell you shit. You guys have to understand, you can't allow the devil to walk all over you. You have to stand up. You have to put the armor of God. I always say this to you guys, put on the armor of God and be fighters. I'm not talking about physical fight. I'm talking about spiritual warfare. Okay. You're fighting a spiritual warfare. So be smart, gain the knowledge that you need to understand about CPS and their deceitful acts that they do day by day. And I mean, I told you guys before, I had a co-host before with me. She's not co-hosting right now with me because she has a job. The hours is conflicting with her schedule completely with me and her. Her name is Cassandra. She was a non-offending parent. Michael, non-offending parent. Darren, non-offending parent. Darren got, like, people don't understand that literally they steal the joy from the parents that didn't do anything, and they give the children to the abuser. This blows my mind. It blows my mind. How can you take a child from a good parent and place the child with the abuser, or place the child with a foster care that actually abuses them? But you don't do anything about the removal of the child from the foster care when the parent addresses issues, instead of you taking the parents addressing the issues and concerns to it to your head to make sure the kids are safe. You tend to ignore it and threaten the parent and bully the parent to tell them they cannot see their children again because they address the concern about the foster care. You have to be literally demonic and cold and dark inside for you to do that to a parent. You have to be. No way you can be normal. I want to also tell you guys this. And Michael, you always laugh at me.
Well, it's true. You're saying a lot of the things that I'm thinking. Like, I mean, like, I think I brought up the attorney yesterday, like the public defender. So they know they're lying to you early on, but then they know they're going to see you again for 6 months after and see the struggle and your life come apart.
Doesn't matter.
That's pretty wicked. That's just wicked.
Matter. And then listen to this, guys. We had really weird. We had a social worker that called me several times. I've been in contact with her. She actually showed me she worked for the department, and she showed me her hiring, papers, and she was there exactly for 4 or 5 months, and they were training her. There's a special training, talking about LA County. There's a special, or California, DCFS. There's a special training for them they go to every month, and in the training they teach them to lie and to manipulate children and to put pressure on the children to say that the parent did beat them or the parent did coach them or the parent did that. So basically what they're doing is that they're bullying kids and they're intimidating them. So what do they do for the child to admit that the parent did abuse them falsely or whatever? They will tell the child, if you, especially a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old, if you say that mom did it, you're going to go back to your mom. So as a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old, they believe you because they're innocent. They don't see, they don't know. They don't know that you're evil and you're dark inside and you're a piece of shit. They don't know that, right? They see you with a badge. They think, hey, okay, I'll listen to this lady because I don't want to stay here for a long time. I want to go home. Right. So the children say it. Then of course she goes and puts it in the report that the child admit that abuse happening in the home. And she's sharing with me so much stuff. I want her on my show so badly, but she doesn't want to be exposed. But I made sure she's legit. I did look at her, hiring documents, everything, and I did see the letter where she resigned. She resigned. And the reason she resigned is because she couldn't keep up with that. So she didn't want to do what they're telling her to do. She said, Georgette, it was so bad that the supervisors would make me lie, and they would threaten me. So basically, she said the people that want to stay in that type of field, they're already dark inside.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, you've already
dark inside, right? So
she got out while she still had some of herself left. You know.
Correct. So she said, so therefore, she said, the ones that stay, there is no way that these people are legit people, and they're not going to do anything by the law, nor they going to say the truth. They're all going to lie. And that's why oftentimes she told me they copy and paste from other people's reports. So basically, she told me that the supervisor tells them to copy and paste from other people's reports. That's why the stories are so similar. You guys, that's why when it's not a drug case, they say it's a drug case. That's why when it's not mental abuse, they say it's mental abuse. So what they do, they copy and paste. And if you guys read each other's reports, you will see that it's very similar. Very similar. And that's why when people talk to me, and it hit me in my head, because I'm like, okay, that I understood now clearly, because when people talk to me, they tell me, oh, from San Bernardino, this is what it says on my report, but it's not what happened. And then Lancaster, they say, well, this is what it says in my report, but it's not what happened. But then I listened to the story, and it's the same story.
Oh my God.
Story. I need you guys to understand that. It's the same story. And I need you guys also to understand that just because you're talking to a child advocate on Facebook.
Oh, they're evil too. They're evil too, man. Like,
very careful. Oftentimes, child advocates are somehow connected to social workers. And they think they can trust this person, but then they will not tell you that. I've heard this from this social worker that resigned from LA County. Okay. So she said there are social workers in the child advocate pages on all over social media. And they target certain people. And they know what they're saying about their case, and they know who their social workers are, because sometimes people, when you're angry, you start talking. You start venting out because you feel you're not being heard, and then you think you can vent out on social media and that people will understand you and hear you. This is not the truth. You need to be very careful. I can open a page on Facebook. Anybody can open a page on Facebook and say, I hate CPS, and automatically you believe them. I can open a CPS news station on Facebook all over social media. And then you're going to trust that I really hate CPS, and I'm reporting about all CPS news. You guys have to be very careful. She told me that a lot of social workers pretend to get through to people, to get information from them so they can report it to their social worker, and then their social worker tells them, how dare you, you have a video, you said this and this on social media, bring it down, and blah 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 blah. They start arguing and you know, use it against them.
That's a great point, Miss G, because I mean, why wouldn't they do that? They take your fucking kid.
Yeah.
They lie to the judge, you know. And I saw that too, like on Facebook. I was just like, there's so many different, fight CPS, fight to blah 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 blah. Like there's hundreds of them, you know. They just start popping up, and you just got to think, you know, that somebody that's already done the unthinkable, trying to take your kid,
right?
And you know, why wouldn't they, you know, have a couple false profiles to build their cause? Because that's really what it is. That they have a cause, you know, and by they I mean social workers, social services.
Hi, Mr. Davis. Sorry to interrupt you, Michael.
Yeah, me too. What's up, Mr. Davis?
Hey, how are you guys?
Go ahead, Michael. Continue, baby.
Oh, yeah, but just thank you. Just to talk about, you know, to agree with you is that, I mean, you have to be careful because a social worker will do the unthinkable, and then they will go over the unthinkable. It's just like, it's very, you find yourself in a very bad position if, especially if you're naive, you know, and you think good, and you think people are good and things like that, you're going to get burned really hard. And that, you know, that's kind of what happened to me. So, people be alert, and you know, we're telling it like it is. So,
I
yeah.
understand. You're absolutely right, Michael. I agree with you 100%. Amy, you can contact me at my email address, or you can call the 888 number and ask for GT, and they'll be able to email me a message. And that will, once I get it, I will call you back, or you can email me directly. Here's my email address on the screen. Mr. Davis, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate that. I have a couple of questions to ask you, sir. I received a couple of requests from people that would like to know if me and you can do a show together for you to explain to people your passion about the reason why you fight CPS, and why do you bring awareness on your shows, and you've been doing shows for quite some time. And they want to know what's behind Mr. Davis. You know, what is the passion that drives Mr. Davis to do what he does on a day-to-day basis. And I also have one of the people that spoke with you today. She said, I would love to hear Mr. Davis speak about him, because last time she contacted you was after midnight and you responded to her. And she was very shocked, and she just thought it was crazy, and she thought it was a scam. And then she realizes it really is you. And then she told me, she said, this is his number? I said, yes, it is. And she said, oh my God, I thought it was a scammer because he responded to me and I was shocked. But she sent it to you because she thought that you're going to respond the second day. But that was the shock when she heard you right away respond to her. She asked me if you sleep. I told her, I don't know, but oftentimes you work a lot and all hours of the day and night. So if it's okay with you, sir, if we can do a show like that, maybe tomorrow with you and I, if you have time.
I don't know if I can do it tomorrow. I might be able to do it on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we can definitely do that show.
Okay, great. Now, Mr. Davis, I have a couple of questions for you. When a parent loses their parental rights, you said, sir, that they can appeal it, but they have to file the appeal immediately, correct?
Within, I think it's 60 days in California. You know,
Okay.
each state may be a little differently, but if you file the notice of appeal right away, you're going to be pretty much you're going to be safe, no matter what state you're in.
Okay, great. Now, when their court-appointed attorney tells them they will file the appeal and not file the appeal, so basically the court counsel, the public defender, tells them that they filed the appeal, but they never actually filed the appeal. So the parents are like waiting and waiting and waiting to hear from the appellate court, right? Because it's a process. And then they find out like 5 months, 6 months went by and nothing. And then when they go finally to want to check it out, they say that nobody filed for the appeal. So they want to sue the attorney. So what is your thought on that?
That it's your case, your responsibility, and your children. If you want to file the appeal, make sure that the attorney sends you what they call a conformed copy, proving that the notice of appeal was filed. If they don't send that to you, you should probably assume that it wasn't filed, and you should take steps to file it on your own with your attorney's help or with an attorney's help.
Okay. Now,
those are excellent questions. Sorry to cut in, Miss G. I mean, those were excellent questions. You know, somebody who's in my particular area, or well, you know, as far along in the case as I am, those are great questions, because I actually just, you know, didn't have things go in my favor during an 18-month hearing, and yeah, I reached out to my attorney last week, my public defender, and you know, letting him know that I wanted to appeal and things like that, and we're like 3 or 4 days in, you know, through the week since I last left the message, and I haven't heard anything back. But again, I did the research, and I, was, not pretty on par with what Mr. Davis said. But yeah, that's how it'll go. That sucks. If you don't say something, if you don't do the research, yeah, you could end up like losing your kids, over a lie, by somebody who was supposed to help you. That's how it goes, man. It's a pretty wicked. Juvenile dependency is a wicked ride, especially if you care,
Right, right. So, Mr. Davis, when somebody is going through and I know I asked you this before on the show, but one of our people asked me to mention it again today to you. When they're going through the investigation phase and the social worker leaves a card on their door, and then they're on vacation, and then they come back and they see the business card, they dismiss it because they don't know who this person is, right? And then they kind of like toss it aside or whatever. Then the social worker comes back knocking on their door and telling them that they ran away to avoid them, but they were on vacation with the kids, like literally on vacation. They had the tickets, everything in advance. They showed them that they got the tickets in advance. They didn't know anything about CPS or any report made, but the report made by an angry ex boyfriend because the mother remarried and he didn't want the children to be, raised with that man. So basically, he filed a report against her. So, but they're claiming that it's, they ran away to avoid them. But it's a CPS investigation phase. Shouldn't they finish the investigation before they claim such, lies?
You asked me what a social worker should do?
I'm asking you if a social worker can just claim that they tried to escape when they didn't escape, and it's only a CPS investigation. Why would they remove the children without actually the investigation going through?
Okay, you're asking me why would a social worker do something? I can assure you, social workers don't consult with me, especially if they're going to be lying about a case.
I asked if they can do that. Oh my God.
Yeah, can they do that? Yeah, they do it all the time. What do you mean, can they do it?
I want to say that with my experience with the social workers is like they will and can do just about anything they want. That's the crazy thing about it. Like I've said, I thought like, all right, that's it. They're not going to go any further. They're not going to say something any worse, or they're a social worker is not going to do this, do that. Boom! Every time they like exceed like my I just like it can't get any worse than this. And then they like. Social worker always tops that, and then they don't get in trouble. There's no consequence. That's the serious. That's where the problem is. There's no consequence. They have no fear of saying this or that or doing the unthinkable.
Right.
Is what it really comes down to.
Okay, so Michael, let Mr. Davis finish what he needed to say. So, Mr. Davis.
Hold on, you guys. Hold on. Georgia, one of the problems is that I'm a lawyer, 35 plus years. I think like a lawyer. Now, to normal people, I communicate differently. I listen to the words. So when you ask me, can they do it? Literally, that's what you're asking me. And the answer is just like Michael said, they can do anything they want to do.
Michael, we know this. We know this.
But you're not asking me the right question.
Okay.
The question is, what are the remedies if they tell a lie on you? All right. The remedies are you can sue them for civil rights violations. We're going to have to do, a day seminar or something about civil rights cases and how to start them, how to bring them, how to maneuver them. Because a lot of people can't afford to hire a civil rights attorney. It's very expensive. And maybe we should do, a day-long seminar on, how to do a civil rights case.
Okay, that sounds great.
Of course, they can do anything they want to do. The answer, but the real question is, if they do something that's wrong, can you sue them? And the answer is yes.
Yes, I said that already. They can sue them. The thing about it is, I'm going to ask you this, and I know you're probably going to say this, and you're not asking it the right way. But why do judges allow social workers to do what they do? Why do judges allow them? And I know you're an attorney. You speak like an attorney. I get it. I get it.
I don't know. No judge has ever discussed this with me.
No, but why?
No idea.
I understand. Okay, all right. But what I'm saying is the social workers lie. They copy paste. Oftentimes they copy paste from other people's reports, but yet they leave the names of the other person on the report. Don't you think that's an indication to the judge when the parent tries to address that issue? Don't you think that's an indication that, hey, this is not my name, that's somebody else's name, but yet not even my story, it's somebody else's story? But don't you think the judge should be looking at that instead of the judge saying, don't worry about that?
I have a theory on that, and that's just, this could be to my own detriment saying this, but I don't really think it is at this point with with what I've had and just the way the hearings have gone. Is there this? I think in a lot of cases the judge views these social workers as his babies, as like his moneymaker, and he knows what's going. He's very aware of what's happening. The judge. But his goal, her goal, is not the protection of the child. It's how to keep, whatever, numbers that I don't pay attention to, that most people don't pay attention to. His mind is thinking differently about what he's going to gain from it, not, preserving families or doing the right thing. And in a few situations I've been in, I see how the judge protects these guys, almost like they're his little kids. And I think it's because they do so much for whatever his needs are, and I think they're monetary. I mean, that's just my take on it, in this, on that particular question.
Here's the problem, and I had about a 90-minute conversation with a client today about her case, and her case is in Northern California. One of the things that I noticed is that, she brought me on late in the case, and she's lived with this case, for 2 years before she ever met me. She has her own thought pattern and belief system about certain things in her case. And as much as I try to explain to her that she's probably not correct, and here's what we should be doing. And I kept going back to this. Let's focus on winning the upcoming trial, which is a contested 6-month review hearing. She kept, and she said she had seen all my videos, but apparently she didn't or forgot about this video on YouTube. I did a YouTube video, maybe it was a YouTube short. People come to me, every CPS cases has about 5 or 6 different modules. Okay, you can draw them on a timeline. Every case is the same. And I think that you can say that for any case in any state because they're following federal regulations from the Department of Health and Human Services. Now, the problem becomes this. You come to me at step 4, and you start telling me how you got screwed over in step 1 and 2. That is not helpful. It's not helpful to you in trying to win. It's not helpful for me in trying to come up with a strategic plan. And really, if I'm charging you money to represent you and for this phone call, you're wasting your time and money. Mm-hmm. Now, what I told her is, look, if you want me to try to correct step 1 and 2, we can spend thousands of more dollars at a very low probability outcome. In other words, it's a very low probability for me to come in step 4 and try to change something in step 1 or 2, especially where you appealed and you lost. Okay? So let's not focus on that. It's not going to have anything to do with whether you're going to win the trial at step 4. Let's focus on step 4. And you hired me because you thought that I was an expert. That's why you hired me. But when I'm telling you about my expertise, if you don't believe me, that's going to be a problem. I'm telling you ABC and you're talking about XYZ. And we're not on the same page. And then sometimes, the client or the prospective client gets upset that I don't agree with them. Here's something that I have come to get very clear in my mind the past couple of years after talking to thousands and thousands and thousands of people and doing so many cases, all over. What is clear to me is that people are looking for justice. They don't understand what real justice is, and they're going by what they feel in their heart justice should be. I can only tell you, and if you don't accept that, there's nothing that I can do. Like I told my client earlier today, look, today's my birthday. I turned 64 today. I'm just too tired to argue with you.
Happy birthday, Mr. Davis.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm just too tired to argue with you. But if you don't believe me, what I'm telling you, it's like, the old days, I would pick you up and put you on my back and carry you to the promised land. It's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars.
The promised land.
But now if you don't want to pay thousands and thousands of dollars, don't make me carry you. Just accept what I'm telling you.
And that was if you don't mind me jumping in, Mr. Davis, that was something I got the goosebumps when you talked about that, like, thinking about module 1, module 2 and all that, because I know I got burned, but it was my responsibility, to do something about it then. And I watched a video. It was kind of an older one. I think it was with you and another attorney. And you guys were talking about, one of the other guy, I don't remember his name, but he was just like, one of the saddest things I see is when, a parent is, this far along, say the 12-month hearing or, 6-month hearing, and then they want to argue something back from the initial detention and things like that. And It's just, it doesn't work that way.
Right. It doesn't. Now, a lot of people think it should work that way, and I don't disagree, but that's not the law. And I didn't make the law. I'm just here to try to help you get your children back using the law.
That's true.
I'm going to tell you something, and I won't say the state or county or anything like that, but I was hired on a Saturday several months ago. Someone called me, and I was at a sporting event, and I took the call. And to be honest with you, I thought it was somebody else. And I took the call, and it wasn't that person I thought it was. And it happened to be a mother. And she was being raked over the coals in her CPS case. Okay. And I said to her, if half of what you're saying is true, you have a huge civil rights case. But she didn't have her kids. Well, recently, we went to trial, and on the day of trial, CPS threw the case out. They appeared in court and told the judge, we're dismissing this case. She has been without her kids almost a year. Almost a year. They hadn't even done the jurisdictional and dispositional hearing.
Wow.
And one of the reasons why I believe they threw the case out, because she finally found somebody, me, who knew what they were doing and told her, they don't really have a case against you. Like, why don't you have your kids? And today, before they can even take jurisdiction, they threw the case out. So they were never really serious about the case. You know, they just wanted to change custody and place these kids other places. They didn't want the mother to be the parent raising the kids. So now there's going to be a big fight in family law court between the mother and about 2 or 3 different fathers, because she had a number of kids with different men. And before the case started, she was the custodial parent. But in none of the cases had she wasn't with the fathers, I don't think, but in none of the cases, she didn't have custody of the children. So here's her problem. She doesn't know why she went through all of this. Okay. And I haven't untangled everything. I was just getting ready for the trial to get the trial defeated and, you know, get her kids back, which we didn't even have to do, because they just dismissed the case. But I actually believe that they dismissed the case. One of the reasons is because they realized that she was going to sue them. She was going to sue them for civil rights violations because they had really raked her over the coals.
Wow.
And, you know, and the case is in one of these places where, you know, people don't get lawyers to sue social workers. Who does that? You know, there's only a handful of guys and gals in California that even do this on a regular basis. And one of them is semi-retired.
Who's that?
I'm not going to mention his name.
Okay.
But he's semi-retired. I mean, I know him. We went to the Jerry Spence Trial Lawyers College together in Wyoming.
Okay, so when social workers tell parents, we are untouchable, you cannot sue us.
That's false. You know what? It's false. But here's what I want to tell you. It's not easy to sue a social worker.
I know.
Because social workers have something called qualified immunity. If they had absolute immunity, that would mean you can't ever sue us. Okay? They don't have absolute immunity. There's something called transactional immunity, and there's something called qualified immunity. They have qualified immunity. And so they start off ahead of you in the game. When you sue them, you're behind the 8 ball, and you got to crawl out from underneath the 8 ball. You know, we just settled a case for a woman. She came and found me, and I represented her in the juvenile court years ago. And we got her the kid back. We filed a lawsuit, okay? And at the beginning stages of the lawsuit, the defendants, the social workers, and it was DCFS here in LA County, made a motion to dismiss our case altogether. And I kind of chuckled that they would do that. I mean, it was excellent lawyering by their lawyers, but there was no way I thought that the judge would ever agree to throw this case out. It was too egregious. To my astonishment, the judge ruled against us and threw the case out. We have no case whatsoever. And I told my attorneys that were working on the case with me, I said, look, this is completely unfair. It's kind of outrageous. We got to appeal this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We appealed. And if I'm not mistaken, 2.5 years later, we win the appeal. It's in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal. It's a published decision. And we established kind of new law. Here's the new law that we established. A social worker can be sued for sexually harassing a parent. Did you know that I didn't know this, but did you know that wasn't the law before our case? Now you would think, well, you know, social worker sexually harasses a parent regarding a child, you know, getting a child or having a child taken away. You think, oh, I can sue you. That wasn't the law in the Ninth Circuit.
But it became after you.
And the Ninth Circuit said, you know, hey, you know, this has to be the law. We can't let social workers, you know, sexually harass parents. So anyway, the case gets sent back down to the trial court. All right. And for whatever reason, the trial judge had a different attitude towards us. Right. The case goes along, the social workers and their attorneys, they're still trying to find us tooth and nail, like knockdown, drag out fight. And I'm thinking to myself, you sexually harassed my client and you don't think we have a case? Okay, you know what? That's fine. Let's just go to trial. And if we lose, we lose. That was my attitude. All right. So the judge orders us to go to mediation. And I couldn't go to mediation. There was another attorney in my office who was, also the trial counsel in the case, and she went to mediation. They ended up settling that case for, a large amount of money. I wouldn't have taken the settlement, but there's nothing I can do because I don't make those decisions. Clients make those decisions. And the client had just been worn down emotionally, mentally, physically with this lawsuit. When you get involved in a civil rights lawsuit, it ain't easy.
Nope.
It's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of emotional strain. So the case settled, but don't ever think that you can just wave your magic wand, get millions of dollars from a social worker and the county because they did you wrong. It's basically, yeah, we did you wrong, and you know what? F you. We dare you to do something about it. Because you know what? You don't have the time, you don't have the money, and there's no attorney that's going to take your case.
Yeah, that's
now,
right.
This case that I just told you about, had she come to me out of the blue, I wouldn't have taken her case. And there's a lot of economic reasons for that. But because I represented her in the juvenile CPS case, and I saw for myself firsthand how they really, did her wrong, I said, hey, you know what? You don't have any money. Okay, we're going to take this case anyway, because this is just outrageous.
Yeah.
Okay, because I witnessed this. I saw this happening. But that's where most people are. They don't have me representing, or an attorney like me representing in the trial court case that also does these civil rights cases. As a matter of fact, there's a guy, I won't mention his name, there's a guy here in California that is probably the guru of suing social workers. I know him. He's very good at what he does, maybe the best. But he doesn't go to court. And he doesn't go to CPS court to get your child back, right? He only does the lawsuit side of it. I, either fortunately or unfortunately, I do both. And sometimes I get to see firsthand, what these people do to these parents. And I can't tell you how heartbreaking it is. How heartbreaking it is. So, people want to sue social workers, and that's fine. It ain't easy. And most people want to treat it like it's a car accident case. Oh, take a third, Davis. That's all you need to do. Civil rights cases against social workers are not car accident cases. They're much more complex and a lot more work.
And there's emotion, it sounds like, involved in that too, in certain cases. I mean, that's crazy. So it's not only a lot of time spent on the case, but then you kind of, get involved too, with the injustice. And, that might be, in going back to the judge thing, I have my theory about why they are so allowed to get away with so much stuff. I mean, and I think another part of that is the judge just doesn't want to possibly, take that stuff home with him. Maybe that's just an old way of thinking. I just burn through the report and just go with what the social worker says.
Michael, you know what? It's dangerous to think that way because what lawyers call it speculation.
Yeah.
you might be right, but there is a greater chance that you're wrong, and then you're operating on the wrong assumption,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
which is going to be devastating in your case. All right.
Okay.
So, but before I go on to that, let me answer this question. It says Battiato says, can judges be held accountable the way they handle the case? The answer is yes, they can be. And in any state, and especially in California, you can file a complaint against a judge with the California Judicial Commission. Okay, so if you think you have one of those judges that needs to be reported, you can report them. However, just because a judge rules against you doesn't mean he's prejudiced. Okay, I'm talking legally. All right. And that's where, sometimes Georgette and I disagree. Georgette looks at these cases like a parent that got effed over. And that's her. That is her. I look at these cases like a lawyer trying to win. That's night and day. Okay? So don't think that a lawyer is going to join you in making, statements that can't be backed up. And Michael, there may be 10 reasons why a judge does something, and you picked one and you were wrong. 10% chance that you're right, 90% chance that you're wrong. There was another question. Oh, here it is. Mary says, what is the length of time that is allowed to file a lawsuit against the workers? That's a very good question, Mary. And the statute of limitations in any particular state sometimes is different. In California, it's 2 years for federal civil rights cases. If you bring state claims, though, you have to file a governmental tort claim within a shorter period of time. I forget if it's 6 months or a year. I don't usually worry about that because I file mostly federal cases and no federal and no state claims. And there's a long list of reasons why I do that. It varies from attorney to attorney. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And attorneys will disagree upon that. But you have to go to your state and find out what the statute of limitation is. The best way to ask is a lawyer in your state who does these types of cases. I know a lot of people sometimes find the right answer on Google. I know sometimes they find the wrong answer as well. And there's a lot of, the whole argument becomes, if I tell you you have 2 years, when does the 2 years start?
Good question too. Mm-hmm.
And can the 2 years be stalled during the 2-year period? That's called tolling or equitable tolling in California. So those are the big questions in California, but generally it's 2 years. What I tell most people is don't wait 2 years. File as soon as you can and as early as you can. Okay? It will benefit you. Okay, here's who's this? Mommy, Kenzie Lee's mommy. I need a civil rights lawyer and medical malpractice.
Wow.
Shaking my head. Okay. Kinsley's mommy, call GT at 888-888-6582. We might be able to hook you up. Here is this gentleman or this woman is a big time listener of ours. He says, I look at cases from the victim's view. I get angry normally. And then he says, keep up the fight, never give up. I agree with that 110%. Never give up. And here it is. Judges in Minnesota initially almost always side with social workers. I understand that. Sometimes I feel the same way. Generally, though, you can change that by the evidence you present and by the legal arguments that you make. You know, a lot of people think that all they need to know is the law, right? Oh, I know the law. I know what the statute says, you know. But here's the problem: they don't know what the cases say. A lot of statutes, you know, there's an old saying in the law. It doesn't mean what it says it means. It means something else. And you only know that by knowing the cases. And the other thing is every case, every outcome of every case can be changed by the evidence, right? Got to know the rules of evidence. Got to know, the rules of procedure. You know, Georgette, you sent me a YouTube video recently, and it was a trial attorney talking about Amber Heard's lawyers in the Johnny Depp case. Do you remember that text you sent me? And one of the things that he said is that Amber Heard's lost because her attorneys weren't real trial lawyers. Now, I didn't watch the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. I mean, I saw it on the news, but I can tell you right now, if you're in a CPS case, your attorney better be an experienced trial attorney. Knowing the law is not going to get you what you want. And you say to yourself, well, how do you know if the person is an experienced trial attorney? You ask questions about their education and their experience. Like, how many trials you've done? You ever do a jury trial? Right? Unfortunately, in a lot of CPS cases, they don't really have trials where they call witnesses, right? Sometimes they just argue. That's, each attorney arguing their position. That's not a trial. As a matter of fact, attorney argument is not evidence.
Wow.
So if you have a trial and there's no witnesses or exhibits except for the social worker report, guess who's going to win? Just by definition. Yeah. Why? Because the only evidence in the hearing is the social worker report. But sometimes I feel that they do that because they want to give the parent a feeling like, well, they really fought for them when they actually didn't do anything.
Right.
If you're having a hearing at a contested hearing or a trial in a CPS case and you don't have witnesses or no witnesses are called, you didn't have a real trial. Okay? So
that is true. That is true. There's several cases. I'm talking about like 90% of the cases, that 90% of the calls that I get, they show that they have the witness list, but they don't bring the witnesses to the court. So it's not really fair, but they want them to think they tried to do everything in their power to help them.
That's a beautiful point. That just happened to me. I had a public defender, and then when I first talked to him, he's all, "Yeah, we're going to subpoena, your service providers and everything." Then I had a very brief meeting where he cut me out, like he wanted to get me out because I wanted to show him this and that and that. Actual evidence, things that from the report and whatever else, things that were pretty solid. Right. And then we get down to it and he's, oh no, we don't need to subpoena anybody, your reports, should stand, and that's, not the case. I think one of the first things we admitted or tried to admit, my child's attorney objected to the completion of a class, I'm like, what the so witnesses, right?
It's different.
Michael, I feel so bad for you.
It's different for every case. It's different for every judge. But you know what? Let's say you've completed parenting, okay? And you have a parenting certificate. Unless all parties and attorneys agree, that certificate technically is inadmissible evidence. You know why? It's a hearsay business record. And in order to be admitted into evidence under the hearsay rule, the hearsay exceptions, you have to lay certain types of foundations. You have to lay either the testimony of the custodian of record, the person who signed that certificate, or a memo, not a memo, a declaration from the custodian of records. So technically, that's an inadmissible document. You know, I've told this story before. A guy complained to me one day that the judge was corrupt because the judge didn't consider any of his medical records that he brought regarding the child. And I said, "Oh, did you have the custodian of record there?" He said, "What's that?" I said, "Oh, did you have a declaration from the custodian?" "What are you talking about, Mr. Davis?" I said, "Well, here's why you lost, because the judge didn't consider any of your documents." He goes, "Yeah, that's what the judge said." He said, he said it's something about hearsay. And I looked at the guy and I go, "Yeah, do you know anything about the hearsay rule?" He says, "No." But these are the real records, Mr. Davis. This is what should have happened, right? This is the truth. And I had to explain to him that the truth didn't matter. It's what's admissible that matters. And he could have gotten the records into court, into admissible evidence, but he didn't know how. He didn't even know anything about it.
He thought you could just go in there and wave it and be like, "Here it is, I did it." Take it, you know.
Right. Now, and here's the thing. Judges aren't supposed to tell you how to do your case.
They're not. No.
No, that's not their job. Right? They're supposed to make rulings on disputes of fact and law. That's it. If you're in there representing yourself and you don't know anything about evidence, please don't think you're going to win. Please don't think that. You know, because you're, 1 out of 1,000, yeah, you'll do it. You'll win. You'll luck up on a win. But that's a really low percentage to be risking your children's lives on. If you're going to go, go with a lawyer. Even if you don't like the lawyer, try to use them, because you're going to be in a worse off position. Okay? Did you have another question for me, Miss G?
Yeah, I'm getting text messages from people about this show. Someone is watching the show. She doesn't want to address the question on the show. She asked me to address it to you. Can you sue a judge?
Can you sue a judge? Now, first of all, I'm going to tell you that's the wrong question. You can sue anybody for anything at any time. Okay? So the answer is yes, you can sue a judge, but that's not the right question. The question is there a probability that I'm going to win? All right? And watch this. If you sue somebody, especially in California, if you sue somebody and it was frivolous or deemed frivolous, they can sue you back for tons and tons of money.
Lawyers' fees, like all kinds of stuff, right?
You cannot sue people just because you're pissed off. You're going to get in a lot of trouble. I know a lawyer, this happened several years ago, who sued somebody for a client. The court deemed that lawsuit to be frivolous and then fined the lawyer and client over $300,000. Don't play around with lawsuits. It's like playing with a loaded gun. It's not a toy. It's not a revenge thing. It's not a I'm going to get back at you thing. Because you can literally end up shooting yourself in the foot. If you want to sue a judge, you better go talk to a lawyer and find out if immunity applies. Judges have a certain type of immunity, and it differs from state to state.
What's the immunity for the judge in California? She's in California.
Okay.
LA County, to be exact.
Well, she's going to have to prove that what the judge did was intentional with malice. Now, how do you get in somebody's mind to try to prove that? they'd have to say something like, hey, let's assume she's black. Hey, I don't like black people, and F you, and I'm ruling against you. Okay, then you have a problem. Now, most judges aren't going to do that. They might think it. You might think they're thinking it, but you don't know. You can't look. Suing a judge is a very dangerous proposition. Okay, I've seen it happen in my career. I think once or twice. It didn't end good for the people trying to sue the judge. Okay, and you can imagine that we, as a society, protect our judges, right?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we as a society protect our presidents, right? When's the last time you ever seen a president be criminally prosecuted or be sued?
Successfully? Never really.
Right. There's this whole thing about January 6th and the Trump, thing and taking over the Capitol. They're having these hearings. And to me, it's like, well, okay, if you're having hearings, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about all of this? What can you do? Nothing. I mean, the guy was president of the United States. He has all kind of immunities. Let's move on. We got homeless people.
They need to, homeless people. We have people stealing children. I mean,
right. You got to
focus on that. That's why the government, they're so dumb. They're so dumb.
And look, some of you may not like me if I say this. I'm not a Trump, guy. I'm not a Trump fan. But let's not waste time and let's not waste money. Do you know how much money they're spending on all of this?
A lot.
Right. We have a problem with CPS in this country. We have a problem with homelessness in this country. We have a problem with gasoline prices. We have a problem with food shortages. We have a problem with baby formula. We got a lot of freaking problems that need to be solved.
Social workers, that's the main problem. I would deal with the guys. I would deal with, you just dealing with social workers alone stealing children. To me, the children are the most important thing in the world.
For sure.
And let's not forget COVID. We still got a COVID issue. I read an article that there's a new strain.
God.
That's more powerful than anything else out there. And having COVID previously doesn't protect you from this new strain.
Right.
So, I mean, we got a lot of problems. And then
vaccine is not going to help you with that new strain either.
And then there's the monkeypox,
Oh, God. Yeah.
Let's focus on, keeping families together.
Absolutely. Making a better world, and starting with us, us people, our children, that's big.
I don't know what to say about this, but I said this in that documentary movie that I was in. You have more rights when you're in criminal court than you do in CPS court.
Yep.
What's more important to people, going to jail or their children?
Children.
Right. Most people will say they're children. But why do you have less rights when it comes to your children? Why is that?
Because of money.
Because for all the wrong reasons.
Follow the money with CPS. It's all about funding. It's all about. I hate it when you do this to me. We argue a lot, you and I.
You know what that means?
No, tell me. I forgot.
Is that one of the presidents? An old president did that or something?
He told me yesterday, but I'm giving him a hard time.
That's the rich guy at the club who just made $1 million.
Yeah, social workers. That's what they do.
So, and I hate to say this. I hate to be one of those conspiracy people, but look, it's all about the money.
It is about the money.
Let's face it. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. It's about the money.
That's enough. Enough is enough. I mean, yeah.
We will pretend that we're helping people and that we're saving children. We're going to pretend about that. and we're
Mr.
going to talk
Davis.
about an industry, a multi-billion-dollar industry. Was it 70, $80 billion a year?
Yep, we're talking about this. We're talking about DCFS, you guys.
Yeah.
That's how much.
Anyway,
Oh, wait,
what
Mr.
other
Davis.
questions? You know what? I've been on this show too long today.
Wait, Mr. Davis. Wait. I just want to tell you about this real quick. This story is very similar to somebody that you know. We're not going to mention who. She is a doctor, Beverly Hills doctor. Her name is Sarah Spill. She filed a $750 million lawsuit against the county of Los Angeles and the individual social worker as she continues to battle to regain custody of her daughters that were removed, her kids that were removed in 2013. Reminds you of someone without a warrant or a court order. In the lawsuit, Spills claimed that the social worker for the Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS, falsified evidence and perjured testimony to justify removing Spill's children from her care and placing them with the abusive father that there was a domestic records against, by the way. Domestic orders against. So, with that being said, wait, hold on. This is a new lawsuit, by the way, and they wanted to settle for $150,000, and she said, "Hell no." And so I'm letting you guys know this. They wanted to settle for $150,000, and she said, "No, I want you guys to understand that." Oftentimes, people say they only steal children from bad parents. That is a lie.
They don't discriminate.
That is a lie, 100% lie. Okay? They don't steal children from bad parents. They steal them from good parents, especially when they place the children with the other party because there is some connection or some favoritism going on behind closed doors. It's shit like this that needs to be stopped. Mr. Davis, you mentioned to people a lot about making changes. And sir, you mentioned to vote. We need to vote. Please tell them what they need to focus on, the legislator and senators.
Well, they need to focus on people who are family friendly, people that aren't afraid to change the laws in California, to disrupt the status quo. Let me give you an example. Why don't you have the right to have a jury trial when you're can lose your children? If you steal a car, you'd have a right to a jury trial, right? In a lot of cases, when you're being evicted as a tenant, you have a right to a jury trial. When you have a case, because someone stole money from you, you have a right to a jury trial. Why don't you have a right to a jury trial when you're going to lose your kids?
Because we allowed it. We didn't say anything. Nobody's stood up. We did
because they
just
made the law.
It.
Right. They made the law, and none of us did anything about it. Hey, before I go, Amy Weiser says, "Can you please answer my question, Mr. Davis, as we have been dealing with this for a year and a half, and now just served with termination parental rights as yesterday." So, Amy, what is your question? Did we miss that?
I don't remember seeing it.
Hey, Grace, what is Amy's question? Hey, Amy, do this. Do this, Amy. I want you to call my office and make an appointment to talk to me. Right? No, you're on YouTube, so I'm going to post right now. You can text me at this number.
Then everybody's going to text you at this number.
Oh, crap. It goes to all the... That's okay. Amy, text me at that number, and I'll try to answer your question, okay?
Oh, Mr. Davis, you're never going to sleep ever. Okay, another question before you go. When they terminate your parental rights, can they terminate your parental rights without signing for that? Without signing your rights to them? Can the judge make that determination without you signing or going to court or anything like that?
I don't understand that question.
This is why him and I argue all the time, Michael. Okay, so a parent lost her parental rights today. She only went to court once. And she didn't sign anything. She did her classes. Everything is done, completed. Can't get a hold of her court-appointed attorney. Nothing. She lost in Texas. She lost her parental rights, but she didn't sign anything. She only went to one hearing. Can the judge remove your parental rights without your knowledge or signature or a cause?
Well, I can't answer for Texas because I'm not licensed there. But in California, the answer would be yes. The judge could do that.
Oh, what? What? I'm sorry.
That's how it goes, man. That's how it goes. It's
Davis, I think we're joking, right? It's April Fool's. Is it April Fool's?
All right. So, hey, Michael,
No,
I'm not,
he's
like I said,
joking.
I'm getting too old to argue with people. So I'm going to sign off. Grace set up the next thing that Georgette wanted me to do with her. And also, Grace, I sent you a woman whose case I won in Sacramento. She was accused of breaking bones in a baby and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we got that case thrown out. And Grace, I told Georgette we should have a day-long, webinar or live stream about civil rights stuff. So let's do that as well. All right? Okay, I got to go, you guys. I'll talk to you later.
Happy birthday again, Mr. Davis.
Oh man, that was crazy. That's like having the the guy, like one of my favorite, Eddie Van Halen of guitar right there in front of me. That's the guy for juvenile dependency. That's awesome.
Attorney, he's better than Van Halen. As a, you know what I mean? I'm serious. I'm not joking, dude. I've seen this guy.
Well, they're different. For his thing, he's Mr. Davis is like that's my favorite. Like the guy for guitar and stuff. He's the guy for of Lloyd.
He's great. He's actually great. He's actually great.
He's funny.
I've seen him in action on a deposition that he did, and I honestly, I was sitting next to him and I was listening to him question the person, right? And I seriously I wish I became an attorney. I wish to God I became an attorney, because the way he did it was so calm and so collective, and he literally
made the person probably look pretty dumb, huh? Or
okay, let me give it to you this way. In the deposition, he was acting like, what's her name from Johnny?
Oh God, Amber Heard.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh no, not Amber Heard. Not Amber Heard's team, from Johnny Depp's team. What's his name? What's her name? I mean,
Camille Vasquez.
Yes, Camille Vasquez. But of course, in Mr. Davis form and male form. But
Sure.
I mean, it was like, wow. Honestly, I wish I can take a copy of that deposition video and send it to everybody, but I can't. Data asked if she can join our video. Can I join your video, Miss G, or next video streaming? Yes, my dear, you can. Jada, are you listening still, honey, or you gone? Or you still there? Grace, I'm gonna tell the show producer, Grace, if you don't mind, please contact Jada Nielsen. She would like to be on my show. I don't mind at all, Jada. And Grace will be able to set that up for you, sweetheart. Michael, I love you again. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, I love you too. That was amazing. That was a great show.
He joined us, dude. I wasn't sure if he was gonna do it or not.
He just kind of popped in. You're like, whoa, there he is.
Yeah, it scares me. Not in a bad way, but he's like, his presence is so strong that I'm like, it's Mr. Davis.
Yeah, you're like, holy crap, there he is. Yeah, everything kind of changed. My posture got a little bit better, and so.
I know.
Yeah, no, it was cool.
Guys, Jayla, here's my Grace's contact. Bye, Michael.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Hey, are you coming tomorrow or not? Oh, he's not going to listen. He signed off. Okay, so Jayla or Jada, this is Grace's email address. Please email her your information, your first name, last name, and your phone number, and let her know that you would like to be on my show. I have 3 shows, Jayla. So I have, if you want to be in all 3 of them, that's fine. It's Fight CPS with Miss G, Fight CPS Real Talk with Miss G, and Relatives Fight CPS. And all of them are Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they start at 4 o'clock. Okay? D said, is this every week? Yes, it's every week. Every week. Starts at 4 o'clock. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 4 o'clock. And the Relatives Fight CPS is on Fridays, you guys. So I'm gonna have to end the show now. We're actually 1 hour and 31 minutes. Don't forget to join me tomorrow, you guys, with Fight CPS. Relatives Fight CPS at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Yes, Pacific Standard Time. And if you want to be on my show, D, you can always contact Grace. Email her at this email address that you see on the screen. You can email Grace and let her know that you would like to be on my show as a guest, or if you want to co-host one of my show with me, that's fine with me too. If you have time, you want to just co-host it with me for a day or so, that's fine. Or if you just want to join me and talk about your story, that's fine too. All right, guys, I gotta go. D, if you have any more questions, honey, ask Grace. Like I said, that's her email address. You can ask Grace, and if you need to get a hold of me, you can call the 888 number, ask for Ms. G, or ask for Georgette. They'll be able to take a message and for me to give you a call back. Thank you, guys. I love all of each one of you, and God bless you all. And be strong. Don't lose faith and don't lose hope. And never, ever stop fighting for your kids. And God bless you guys again. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.